Hello, I'm Kareem Mansour, and today I'll be making a documentary about one of my personal favorite video game franchises, Fire Emblem. First of all, for those of you that don't know, let me explain what Fire Emblem is. Fire Emblem is a tactical role-playing game usually set in a medieval European setting, developed by a company named Intelligent Systems and is published by Nintendo. Now with that out of the way, I would like to take you through the entire Fire Emblem franchise, but due to time constraints, I can only take you to the first 5 games or so. But that should be enough to give you an idea about whether you would like this series or not. As I previously said, we're starting with only the beginning of the Fire Emblem series. And the beginning of the Fire Emblem series is usually referred to as the Kaka Era by the fans. This includes the first 5 games, and is referred to as this because of the designer, writer, and lead developer of the series, Shozuha Kaga, who is credited with coming up with the setting, story, and presentation for the first 5 games. These games are also only ever released in Japan. The first game in the series is Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, released for the Famicom, the Japanese NES, in April of 1990. It follows the story of Prince Marth and his journey to reclaim his throne from the evil sorcerer Garneth. The game had many new and innovative ideas that had not been tried in other games before, like the series staple of permadeath. The idea that if a unit dies, the character is permanently dead and cannot be resurrected. Initially, the game received poor sales and reception, but would later become a success, and would be credited with making the tactical RPG genre popular. Its basic mechanics would also be used in every single Fire Emblem game to come after. Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light would go on to sell over 300,000 units, and a sequel would be made. Fire Emblem Gaiden was released in March of 1992, also for the Famicom, and it made several improvements to its gameplay, like the evolution of classes, and even had the first ever inclusion of an overworld map. Set in the same world as the first game, Fire Emblem Gaiden follows the battles of 2 opposing armies on the continent of Valentia, which is torn apart by political strife involving the Princess Celica and her childhood friend Ulm. The game was a success commercially, selling over 300,000 units, but received mixed critical reception and was later compared to Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and its short-lived innovations. Most of the said innovations made in Gaiden would be later discarded in other Fire Emblem games, but the class evolution would be kept as a mainstay. Fire Emblem Gaiden did well enough for another Fire Emblem to be released. Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem was released for the Super Famicom in 1994. Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem has 2 halves. The first half is a remake of Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, the first game, and the second half is a direct sequel with an original story. After defeating the sorcerer Garneth and the dark dragon Medius, peace is restored to Arcania and Marth restores his kingdom. His ally Hardin ascends to the throne of Arcania but begins hostile military expansion across the continent, forcing Marth to confront his old friend and the force driving him. Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War was released on the Super Famicom in 1996. The Genealogy of the Holy War takes place on the continent of Genealogy, split between 8 different countries founded by the 12 Crusaders, an ancient group of soldiers who ended the rule of the ancient dragon Lupnir with divine aid. In the present, a cult working to revive Lupnir stir up war among the countries. The story is told over 2 generations. The first generation follows the Granvalian prince Sigurd, while the second follows his son Selef as he works to defeat the cult and avenge his father. This game would be the first to introduce the most important and famous mechanic of the Fire Emblem franchise, the weapon triangle. The weapon triangle works like this. Lances beat swords, swords beat axes, and axes beat lances. There is also a magic weapon triangle system, but this can change depending on the game. Genealogy of the Holy War also implemented the support system, a system where the player can make 2 playable characters fall in love, which is another mainstay of the Fire Emblem series. Genealogy would go on to be a critical success and sell over 500,000 copies, and another sequel would be made. Fire Emblem Thracia 7076 was also released on the Super Famicom in 1999 and will be the last to be released for the system. Thracia 7076 takes place on the continent of Drukdraul, set in the generational gap within Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War. The story follows protagonist Leif as he rallies a private army in an attempt to defeat the ruling Granvale Empire and restore his lost kingdom of Thracia. The gameplay of Thracia 7076 follows the traditional Fire Emblem system of tactical battles taking place on grid-based maps. With Thracia's added elements such as a fatigue system where characters lose energy with each performed action, and the fact that healing staves can miss. The game initially had high sales at the very beginning of its run, but is one of the poorest selling in the series overall, with barely 150,000 units being sold. But it was received very positively by both fans and critics. This would be the last game that Shozuo Kaka would work on before he left Intelligent Systems soon afterwards to found his own company. Kaka would also go on to make the new series that is very similar to the Fire Emblem series called the Tearing Saga. And that concludes it for the early history of Fire Emblem and this video. I hope you enjoyed this video whether you are just learning about this series now or have been a long-time fan.